There's an agenda in front of you for January 10th.
To adopt.
I'll second that.
Okay. And then, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. On December 13th, the regular council meeting, the minutes were there. Any errors, omissions? All in favor?
Oh, I do have a question.
Yeah.
11.1 outdoor ice rink at Riverside Park. Any progress on that? Anything back on that?
To the mayor, I'll refer that question over to the corporate officer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All the paperwork is signed. We have their work safe clearance letter and their insurance, and they're beginning to build today and install tomorrow, hopefully with the Director of Community Services.
Would it be possible to get a location of that, just so we may have to change the cross-country tracks or anything?
Berlin Park.
Oh,
Resolution.
right. Yes, I heard Riverside number still. Yeah. Good.
Let's see out of that.
Go back to sleep.
Yeah, you're right. Complimentary. This is Riverside Park.
Yeah, it's Berlin, yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, delegations. I want to welcome you. Thank you for coming. As a delegate, you're allotted 15 minutes uninterrupted time to address the topic outlining your form that you've presented to us. I want to remind you that your delegation must be on topics that we are municipal jurisdiction. They must be topics that we have some authority over. Should you go over that time limit, the clerk for this meeting will signal that you've reached the 15-minute mark, and I'll request you to wrap up your presentation, but you can start your presentation now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak at council and on the issue of the Constitution of Canada and the mandates as we have been given them that are being implemented across this country. Most of the topics that I'm going to cover are on your agenda. And before I start, I'd like to say that I'm a third-generation Canadian. I'm also a longtime resident of Vanderhoof. I moved here in 1970 with my parents as a teenager. And I'm also here as a representative of Action for Canada. Most of you, or some of you know, I've heard of Action for Canada. And so that's why I'm here. I'd like to ask a question to start with. And with your permission, I'd like to poll the council. Is that possible? Okay. But I would like to pose the question, hypothetically, do the mandates supersede the Constitution of Canada? Now, you don't have to answer that out loud, but I would like you to consider that question. And then if you look at my documents that I submitted, you'll see that Exhibit A is a reference to Section 52, Part 1 of the Constitution of Canada, which states, the Constitution of Canada is the supreme law of Canada, and any law that is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution is, to the extent of the inconsistency, of no force or effect. Okay, and so everything else that comes after this, it has to pass the test of Exhibit A. Now, under the Federal Emergencies Act, if the federal government had invoked, in fact, it invoked the Federal Emergencies Act, which it has not, even that Emergency Act states, and whereas the governor in council, in taking such special temporary measures, would be subject to the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and the Canadian Bill of Rights, and must have regard to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, particularly with respect to those fundamental rights that are not to be limited or abridged, even in a national emergency. Now, if we move on to Exhibit C in my document, I want to skip forward actually to D, and I'll come back to C in a minute, if that's all right. Because Section D For Exhibit D in my, and by the way, the singing you hear outside is our supporters that I brought along. They're singing "O Canada," and they have a Canadian flag on hand. So just so that you know that I'm not doing this on my own. So I want to go, like I said, to no, sorry, I'm going to go back to D after I do C. So under fundamental rights, this is from our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is part of the Constitution of Canada. So if you remember what we read in Exhibit A, it says everyone has the following fundamental freedoms, and they're listed there: freedom of conscience and religion, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression, including freedom of the press and other media communication, freedom of peaceful assembly, and freedom of association. And then it talks about mobility rights. It talks about those kind of rights. But I want to go back to the first part of Section D now. And I put this together myself, but it's been done with the consultation of people who are familiar with the Charter. For example, Brian Peckford, the former Premier of Nova Scotia, who was the only surviving member of the committee that put together the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And I want to read the preamble of the Charter. It says, whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. And then Section 1, Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it, subject only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. And then I've broken it down, and I'm not going to go over every part of it because time does not permit. I would encourage you to go and over this document and read it carefully when you have the time. So that I just want to highlight a few things in here, and then I want to refer to the last part of my Exhibit D. Okay, so these rights are guaranteed, and if the charter is to be abolished or suspended, it has to be justified. Okay, so subject to only such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society. The latter part of Exhibit D, I asked the question, where do our rights come from? Do they come from the government? If they do, then obviously the government can take them away. If they don't come from the government, then where do they come from? In both Canada and the United States, framers of our Constitution recognize that our rights come from our Creator. In Canada, the preamble which I just read to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms states, whereas Canada is founded upon principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. In the United States of America, the Declaration of Independence states in part, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. So since our rights and freedoms come from our Creator, the government cannot take them away. Even if the government prevents us from exercising those rights, they have not been erased. Even if the government limits our freedom, we are still free. Because the Creator that is referred to in these documents says, if the Son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. And so that's Section D. I want to briefly make reference to genetic testing. If you look at the PDF that I supplied, you'll see that genetic testing is not only prohibited in Canada, but it's also punishable in a court of law. So I'll leave that for you to read. And according to under Exhibit F, according to the Public Health Agency of Canada from their Canadian National Report on immunization in 1996. They said, unlike some countries, immunization is not mandatory in Canada. It cannot be made mandatory because of the Constitution. And then finally, under Exhibit G, you may have heard of Rocco Galati. He has been retained by Action for Canada. They have filed a approximately 400-page brief and are taking the provincial government, Dr. Bonnie Henry, and the various other ministers, as well as the federal government and the Prime Minister, to court over the overreach that they're committing. And this is what Rocco Galati had to say about the mandates, in particular, as it refers to, or as it pertains to the Prime Minister and the federal government. The Prime Minister has no legal or constitutional authority to implement any such mandates. Rocco described these mandates this way. Not only are they oppressive, but they are devastating, unscientific, non-medical, illegal, criminal, and unconstitutional. That's from the top constitutional lawyer of Canada. And I will leave the rest for you to peruse, and I would urge you to please have a close look at these documents that I provided and familiarize yourself with the Canadian Constitution, because to go back to my original question, use the help order to supersede the Constitution of Canada. And I've asked this to many people, including as many police officers as I've had the opportunity to speak to. If the answer is yes, then we don't have a country. And if the answer is no, then why are we doing this? Because clearly, things that I just read, many of the rights and freedoms in the Constitution are being overridden and violated. So that's basically it for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Don't believe there's any questions. No, thanks. Thank you for coming.
You all have a good evening. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, we have the Vanderhoof Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Philip Mabeo. Are you the presenter, or who's the presenter?
All three of us?
All three of you?
Sure.
How about you just do it down there? I think that's the best.
I'll go over by trend to see who's better.
I have to say the same thing to you as a delegate. You're allowed 15 minutes uninterrupted to address the topic outlined in your delegation you submitted to this meeting. Should you go over the time limit, the clerk will tell you that you've got it.
We'll stand, I guess, right? You can see us better. We do have a presentation. I don't know if the camera.
Second, I will get it on.
Okay, awesome. Well, I just first want to say thank you to Mayor and Council and staff for having us here tonight. We have just a few slides to keep us on track and keep us on time. But all three of us, we've split the presentation into a few of us. So they're presenting. So Phil's actually going to take it from the lead. And then so I'm sorry, I'm Michelle Roberge. I think you all know who I am for the most part. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, I'm Trina Elbert. I'm a director with the Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Philip Bayer. I'm the manager of the Chamber of Commerce.
I think we can just start without doing it.
I don't think he'll be very long. Sorry.
No, that's okay. We can just start with an intro. I feel more comfortable standing.
Over here, then.
Run away.
See you later.
Yeah, just do it that way, guys.
Well, good evening again. Mike, and we are very excited to be here, so thank you. And we are from the Vanderhoof Chamber of Commerce, as Michelle, the president, has just said. And we are here to just present who we are. First of all, we are a non-profit organization. And so we support businesses here in town, we support the community here in town. And we were founded in 1914. That's a long time ago. So, and the Chamber of Commerce was incorporated in 1920, still a long time ago. I wasn't around, so I don't know who was around here, but.
Didn't go on work.
But it's just for ourselves to remind ourselves who we are and what we do. And what do we do exactly here? I'm reading my notes. You're supposed to be up here, but thanks also for allowing us to use your systems here. Now I'll use my phone, and hopefully I am on target. Okay. So here we work with businesses, we work with community, we work with professionals like Michelle Roberts herself, Trinidad Elba, who are professionals, and they're also the president and the board of directors. So we work with everyone and who is a professional and community groups also to help support the economic growth of the district of Vanderhoof. We stand as the voice of business, and we work with the BC Chamber of Commerce, and we advocate for businesses here in Vanderhoof to the BC Chamber of Commerce, and BC Chamber of Commerce is also a member of the Canadian Chambers of Commerce. So we have representation in at all those levels. And we are here tonight because we provide specific services for the District of Vanderhoof through an agreement that we have with the District of Vanderhoof. But before I move ahead, I would like to invite Trinidad Elba, who is going to tell us exactly who is on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, who is the president, and how we are organized.
This has become a skill testing question because I don't have the information. But if I remember correctly, well, I'm gonna wing it. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna test. So the next slide is supposed to talk about our governance. We have a president who is right here, Michelle Roberts. Our vice president is Kevin Wallace, and then we have a few other. We have members of our board, directors at large, as well as Anna Manwaring, who is our treasurer, and then I think I'm listed as the secretary. Our other members at large are Arlen Clausen. You're making me nervous. Nikki Martin-Paquette, who is Studio X. There is, go through the list. Leslie Chason, who is Gander, right? She's a board member now, and we have Michael Collinger, who was with the accounting firm. We have a member, right now the seat is empty for a representative from the co-op, the Four Rivers Co-op. But I believe Alan is sitting in the interim. Yeah. And Reese Wallace, yes, thank you. Better job than I am. So that's our current board. Our AGM is coming up next month in February, so there may be some changes there, but as it stands right now, so we have a very healthy board, a lot of good representation of different businesses in the community, as well as lots of enthusiasm, which is nice. The next slide is just talking about the agreement. Oh, yes. The next slide is just talking about the agreement that we signed with the District of Vanderhoof in June of 2021. Yes, right there. So there was, in the Schedule A, there was some specific items that we worked on that the chamber would provide in, for all the funding that we received. And so they're listed there. I'm not going to go through each one because we're going to go through them slide by slide. But there's quite a few, and so we're going to talk to how we have done on each of those.
All right, next slide, please. Okay, thank you so much for supporting us with that beautiful presentation. I was supposed to memorize everything, but unfortunately I didn't. So, all right, so we provide we stand as a support center. One of the agreements we have with the District of Vanderhoof is to serve as a support center, which is we receive phone calls from individuals traveling through Vanderhoof, tourists, or even residents in Vanderhoof, businesses in Vanderhoof. And what we do is that we provide information based on what they want. Like if they need to know about what to do in Vanderhoof, where to go, where to eat, or what activities they can do in Vanderhoof, we provide those information to those people. And thankfully, we receive a document here from the District of Vanderhoof that lists down the different things that you can do in Vanderhoof, the places you can go, and everything you can do. And we receive the highest calls between June and September, when we know it's summer and people go around, travel a lot around Vanderhoof, and we have tourists around. And so those are the times that we receive the highest calls. And regular daily calls were usually from residents in Vanderhoof, seeking to know specific information about businesses, what they can find, where they can find a service provider or somebody they can contact to buy something in town. So we have a list of businesses that was also provided to us by the District of Vanderhoof. And so we use that list to provide this information. And other calls, of course, are related, housing related. So please go on again.
You can also put a cursor on this thing and that'll flip.
Right. So
Yeah.
as I was saying, some of the calls that we receive, they have to do with either in-house tourism. I've spoken about it already. People calling from outside Vanderhoof, inside Vanderhoof, on their way to Vanderhoof. They want to know where they can go, what they can find in Vanderhoof. And as I said, we received the pamphlets from the District of Vanderhoof, very useful. And we had an intern before at the summer student, by the way, who was very knowledgeable about Vanderhoof. I had just begun my work, and she helped a lot with this information that she had. And yeah, please, again, we can go down. Here we go, business license renewal. We also serve, because we work with the businesses in Vanderhoof, a lot of them are members of the Vanderhoof Chamber of Commerce. And whenever they renew, we make sure to remind them, whenever we can remind ourselves about business license. We also have individuals who want or who may want to start their own businesses, small businesses in Vanderhoof, medium, large businesses. They usually, I remember people stopping in the office and asking, where to start? What can I do? Where can I get business license or permit? And we know you have a website, and there's information on that we can refer them to it. If they have specific questions, we always direct them here to the District of Vanderhoof. Yes, please. All right, communicate bylaws. We can't wait to do that. For as far as we know, so far we haven't received anything from the District of Vanderhoof, so we have not communicated anything as of recent. Next, please. All right.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
You're done.
Okay, there. Now, oh,
Touching it.
oh, funny. Anyways, number 5 is the luncheon speaker series. We were doing that quite successfully, and then change over staff, and then a lot of the concerns for businesses with COVID and reopening and businesses and whatnot sort of took a lot of our attention, and so we haven't had a luncheon since, but we have, I think, 4 months worth scheduled now, so those are starting up here in the next couple of weeks. So we're excited to have those again, and we have a lot of, including, I think, Ian Leslie's going to speak at one as well. So we're excited about that. Is this me?
I think that's me again.
Okay, good.
All right, thanks, Michelle. Yeah, so communicate concerns of businesses. That has been something that I've been working a lot with the CAO here of the District of Vanderhoof and the intern Vincent Wickham. We meet monthly, and we discuss. I present to them some of the issues that have been presented to the Vanderhoof Chamber of Commerce, and we talk about them. So the main issues we've been receiving so far, starting from June at least, as far as I know, labor shortages, which is basically from businesses here in Vanderhoof. They are looking for people to hire, they cannot find easily. Housing issues, directly linked, of course, to labor shortages. Businesses are saying that there's not enough housing in Vanderhoof, so they can have people live from other places to come here to work because they can't find places to live. So that's one of the issue. And COVID, of course, related mandates. We've had businesses speak to us about how they're struggling with trying to obey or respect every single mandate that have been placed on businesses, and they're having struggles and they need support, basically. Not complaining, but they want more support from either the district or the province of BC to be able to implement the mandate. And of course, also linked to the COVID-related mandates is the end of year activities that we usually do starting from October. We have pumpkin walk. We planned them. We had the travels of Christmas, the parade of lights that we communicated, and then they went as planned, and so businesses were a bit some frustrated and some understood and shared their concerns, of course. So we have been very forthcoming with the district of Vanderhoof, the CEO, bringing up this information to them. Please, next slide. Right. So one of the other things we have on the agreement is to share District of Vanderhoof information on our social media. Either you post something on Facebook, on your website, or if we see it, and we communicate it to our members, either via email or on Facebook or on our social, on our, what do you call it?
Chamber point.
Our chamber point. That's right. Thank you, Michelle. All right, next, please.
Hey, this is me.
Right.
So one of the things that was in the Schedule A was to develop an open for business information booklet. And the details around it weren't super clear, just a general outline of, we don't have a document for Vanderhoof right now, or at least not an updated one about sort of everything going on. And so we were going to put that together, but just haven't had time. With a lot going on, and it's a pretty involved process, and but so it's on our priority to start this spring, or in the coming month, I should say. But in the meantime, Leslie Chason, when she was our manager, but now as a director, she connected with BCIT, I believe, and developed this app for Vanderhoof. It's not quite ready yet, but it's very close to being launched, and we want to have a launch, a kind of open house, virtual open house about it. But it's essentially business directory and then other recreation and other resources for Vanderhoof. So it's kind of nice that this came out first, because now maybe we can link it with this book and have something that can reach a wider demographic. So anyway, it worked out well that we didn't get to the book yet, and we've got this app now, so we can work together. And then one of the things also was business walk, and we were happy to have that. And I think we're presenting next Monday about the business walk, I believe. So I won't talk about it much here, but we spent 2 days. I went out day one with Philip and CAO, and he's not here, Vincent, yeah. And we went and just talked to businesses, and it was actually surprising. Actually, a lot of people had a relatively decent year, considering COVID and everything. So summary reports being put together, and then day two was Kevin Wallace replaced me, and so in total 28 businesses were got talked to. So it was really good, and so we'll be presenting that in more detail next week. Next, please. Present activity evaluation. Ta-da! This is what we're doing right now. So next, that was an easy one.
So one of the other things that we were going to do, or that was on our list, was promote web pages. So again, share that on social media and within the chamber newsletter, as well as there's a link to the District of Vanderhoof website on our website. So.
Oh. 12, I think. Sorry.
12 was to provide information to potential investors. So there hasn't been a lot of opportunity for this one yet. I believe that the intent for this was investors would come talk to office staff here they would get pointed to us. There would be synergies to work together and provide information, try and facilitate that. So although that hasn't happened yet, it's definitely something we're open to and willing to do and will do as it comes up. And 13.
Right, so one of the other things I think, is that me, right? Okay, we do is that we, here alone in Vanderhoof, we do what we call we are open for business, which is for businesses, of course, and we provide gift certificates to businesses to individuals in Vanderhoof to use them in businesses here in Vanderhoof. And this year we're beginning with a larger scope of this kind of activity and business-oriented activity. So we are working with chambers in Northern BC, starting from Vanderhoof all the way to Prince Rupert, I believe. And we are working together on what we call Live, Love, Local campaign. So what this means is that we work with these chambers, and it's funded by BC Chamber, the BC Chamber, of course. They gave us an amount of money that we are spending on individuals in these different districts or where there are chambers of commerce. And they go around from their district, visit other districts, like Vanderhoof, people from Vanderhoof live here, visit those districts, and just see what is there to offer. And they come here and see what Vanderhoof has to offer. And this is one of the ways that we do like to promote either tourism or people who are willing to move to Vanderhoof or who know what Vanderhoof can offer and they can come here to. So this is one of the things that we are working on this year. And the official launch of this campaign, of course, will be announced shortly, and it should be in January.
Yeah, the funding has been approved, the project's been approved, so Smithers Chamber led this, and so we partnered with them, and 5 others. And so it's pretty short time frame. It's going to be pretty much focused in February, but this is a great opportunity where we're working with other chambers and pooling resources, and so anyway, so there'll be more on that coming. So that's exciting development. And then in closing, I think the last slide, hopefully we're at time. So, you know, we remain committed to working together as our chamber role with the business community and organizations in the community. And the agreement that we have with the District of Vanderhoof has really been instrumental in helping us do our job, and then also doing more. Right? We only currently have 1 staff member, and we were lucky we had 2 summer students. 1 left a little early, unfortunately, but we had summer students this summer, which was great. And so we had this full office and lots of activity. And so this agreement and this funding really helped us get out there and do more for the business community based on our membership fees. They're essentially their revenue at this point. So thank you again, and we look forward to continuing hopefully this agreement into 2022, and we have some more work to do. So that's that.
Any questions? Yes, go ahead.
How many chamber members?
At this point, I believe it's 115, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All around.
And which is fantastic.
Yeah.
We were down to less than 50.
Yes.
2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's a good improvement.
it's a really good
Yeah,
improvement.
good.
Yeah.
But historically, that's a good number too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So we're still, I mean, there's still lots of businesses out there. I think you guys do at least 400 business licenses a year or something. So there's lots of other businesses to tap into.
So the goal for next year is 350.
You know, our first year, we were like, okay, we're going to get to 100 by the end of the year, and baby steps, right? Baby steps.
And of course, the business list that was provided for us by the District of Vanderhoof was very resourceful in contacting those other businesses that became members eventually.
Any other questions? Yes, go ahead.
You made mention of tourism and some of the things that you're doing in that area, and I know that we're starting up a tourism committee, and we've asked for somebody to be part of that. I'm hoping that we can hear back, so we haven't, I don't know if you've heard something, but.
Yeah, we did send an email to Leslie.
Yeah, I think Leslie.
Yeah, I sent an email to someone here just.
I remember hearing that, so that's good. Excellent.
Well, thank you for your time again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Councilor Young, councilor reports.
Christmas.
I'm not sure if we should go this far back, but, do we have anything since the 6th?
What month?
December?
11th, I think, was our last meeting.
Okay, because, yeah, I had a budget meeting, the Public Works building update, both on the 6th, and then nothing until, to be honest, that I've written down. Today we did tour of the Connexus building, and then we did a Northern Health update. I'm thinking I missed something in December, but I didn't write it down, so.
Councilor Butcher.
We had the RCMP debrief on the 14th.
That was the one.
On the 15th, there was a Rio Tinto Reservoir River snowpack update. There'll be one on Wednesday. We'll be next one since then. Be interested to see how the snowpack is doing. On the 16th, we had an Environment Committee meeting, inaugural meetings moving forward. We have another one of those this Thursday. And I see it for the January 4th Northern Health update. One other thing that I did do is I went for a walkthrough on the new cultural center. That was really interesting to see it. I can't remember the date on that though. And then today we did the walkthrough on the Parkview complex.
What was the date of that walkthrough, please?
We missed it by a day.
That was the only one there. Well, we went the second day.
Yeah, we went a different day.
A personal tour with.
So I think there's probably 3.
Yeah.
I don't know if report, just did the walkthrough day of the Berlin. That was very nice, place for that. I see on the in-camera getting members for the committee organizing it.
Just caught tail end of the Northern Health update today. I would have been earlier, but had to get my wife to watch the kids. So, and then the only other thing that I wanted to bring up is that we had our inaugural meeting a couple of months ago, me and Councilor Laze for your Tax and Retention Committee, and we've got some members now. So I'm going to be reaching out this week and trying to set up a meeting with those members and moving that committee forward. So I hope we can get that going, and I hope the members have some good ideas to bring forward. But other than that, that's all I got.
Good, Councilor Sprinkle.
Most of the things have been talked about from the Environment Committee to the tours of the facilities, which is good. I just wanted to bring you up to date that Kevin and I have met with Dr. Collard and Richard Burkholder twice over Christmas, and we will bring a proposed, I think we put it on the agenda for next COM4 meeting for a trail system for everybody to look at. It's not etched in stone by any stretch, but it's something that we would like to show everybody. And then if it's something that the COM4 board agrees to, we'd like to present that at CDC. So just want to say that we've worked on that. That's it for me. Thanks.
On the 14th, I did the RCMP debrief on the November 25th. Shooting that happened. Also on the 15th, I through the regional district, I met with Minister Rankin, and one of the things that we're really pushing for, and I think that we as a council need to do that, and that is meaningful consultation on all these First Nation agreements. I think there's so many that are happening right now, and we're not brought into the discussion until after an agreement is struck. And then we're asked to vote and promote it. It makes it very difficult. 16th, we had a regional district meeting. 16th, a little bit later, Mr. Osborne had one of her kind of town hall meetings with Mr. Rankin. 15th, though, going back to that, I was involved in part of the RTA discussion on the snowpack. Again, it's a concern to me. I think that with RTA starting up slower as time goes on. Just, we want to keep our eyes very focused on what is happening there. You know, and I understand the smelter is running at about 25 to 30% at the present time. And I think we just need to be very cautious as that goes on. On the 17th, RTA was asking to do a video on the communities. They did Kitimat, Terrace, Chislata, Vanderhoof. So anyways, I did part of it. I've seen a rough draft of it. So once it comes out, I'll ship it off to you, just a short blurb on it. I've spent quite a bit of time with the RCMP on December 17th and January 5th, just trying to understand where we are with staffing. I think it goes back to some of our earlier comments with both the municipality here as well as St. John Hospital, is how are we going to get through the next month and a half with COVID. We're also short-staffed, which we were in advance, and then we have a few members still on medical leave, and so just wanted to make sure that we're being covered. We are at this present time being well covered from our neighboring communities. So that's good. January 4th was the Northern Health St. John Hospital update. Today was the Parkview tour, and as well as Northern Health. So those were kind of things that involved. Any questions anybody has of anybody?
I got this question for all of you guys. How did the tour look today? I was sad I couldn't make it.
Amazing.
That's great facility.
Yeah.
I have to get it run by through it in my head.
You probably at this point, because it is such an active and they're trying to,
No, I know,
everybody is
yeah.
doing. I would think that the end of the month, they're hoping by the 25th, I think. Did they say anything more today?
February 4th.
February 4th? Okay.
For opening?
No, to be finished.
Oh, April 4th.
I thought they'd be finished more on the 4th, but not open.
The top 2 floors are supposed to start having residences move in March the 1st, I was told. And on the bottom floor on April 1st.
Okay.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. So it's a long time coming, but the rooms are unbelievable.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, it's hard to believe that they got that much room. I didn't think the rooms would be that big.
I want to ask a question, then point out that we did meet as a housing committee on December 15th, make sure that gets in the minutes because it was a really good meeting and there's something coming up regarding that. Then also a question around the one I did forget as well to bring up, and that was RCP debrief that we attended. There were some comments about finding ways to maybe even work with the chamber, et cetera, about some of the responses. There's a lot of good news stories that day, and we heard some positive things, but also just we want to get together the chamber at some point, talk about those good things, and then maybe talk about other things to maybe be prepared for in the future. There was some commentary around that, and I don't have the notes on it, but it might be good to when maybe the CEO meets with the chamber, let them know that conversation did occur. So
yeah, I think that was part of our discussion was just how do we, are there things that we should do better, in the future and stuff like that. Yeah. Good point.
somehow let those who, reacted in a positive manner to know. I mean, it's time is slipping away on us already on that, but there was some positives.
Yeah. Good. Okay, continuing on, there's no correspondence, either for information and discussion. 9.1, territorial land acknowledgement. Move to adopt.
Good.
Any discussion? We can discuss it pre. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, local government intern application.
Through the mayor to council, there's a recommendation for you on this item. If there are any questions, our corporate officer is here to speak to the report.
To adopt the recommendation.
Second.
My question is, what, you know, do you think we have great chances? That was,
I have heard, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I've heard that places generally don't get 1, 2 years in a row. But it all depends on the applicants and how many communities last year didn't get one that wanted one. That's what I've heard, kind of part of their decision is based on. Yeah.
hey, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Adjournment to go into in camera, is a recommendation that council hold an in-camera meeting immediately following the adjournment of January 10th, 2022, and that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to the community charter to discuss appointments, a personal matter, labor relations, a land matter, negotiations pertaining to a new municipal service under section 90.1 A, C, E, K, further that all persons other than the mayor, councilors, and pertinent staff be excluded from the
Moved.
second. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, is there any reason not to adjourn the meeting at this time? So
Move to adjourn.
Seconder,
Yeah, I'll second it.
all in favor? Carried. You guys want a 5-minute or do you want to just go?
Take 5 minutes.
I'm just
Yeah, actually, just.
Who's clear?
They're still out there.
Housing.
Yeah, the house. And after that, you
There are
can,
about 50 or 60 people outside.
actually, you might want to stay for